Okay, great. We are live, so we're starting the demo. So hi everyone, and welcome to the Foreman community demo. I'm Nufar, an active developer within the Foreman project. In our previous demo, we were joined by Girija, a valued member of the Foreman development team, who co-hosted with me. And today I'm thrilled to introduce Shweta Singh, our QE team lead, who is co-hosting with me for this session. This is part of our ongoing efforts to enhance the demo experience, and it's truly exciting to have a member from the QE team actively participating. So thank you, Shweta, for joining us today.
Thank you, Nufar.
Great. So before we get started, I want to remind you that this demo is all about sharing the latest updates and answering your questions. We want everyone to participate, so feel free to ask away. Drop your questions or comments in the IRC chat at the Foreman, or use the YouTube live chat. We were toned in to both channels, so don't hesitate to speak up. Okay, so moving on to the agenda for today's demo. We have some updates from the community to share and a new Foreman release news. After that, we have 3 topics on Catello, 1 from Girija and 2 from Ian. Relatively a short demo, but yeah, I guess we can start. Okay, we'll start with the community updates. Yeah, so the first update is regarding the Foreman 3.6.2 release, which is now available. So a big thank you for all the contributors. And you can find more details in the community post regarding this one. The next topic I want to mention is the new initiative we are starting of showcasing popular use cases during our community demos. We were planning on starting it this week, but due to technical issues, we had to postpone it for next time. But I can assure you that our first topic will be about host registration, and it would be presented by one of our experienced developers. So there's a lot to wait for. The third topic is the community monitoring rotation, which we mentioned in the past. Again, a new initiative that we are planning to have each week a designated person to ensure that our users are receiving support and answers to the posts in the community. So right now we are closing the final details, and we are hoping that starting from the week of September 18 to start this rotation with 1 engineer from each team to covering all the new posts. And lastly, we are aware of the instability of Redmine and Discourse, so we are working on moving it to a more stable hosting. So yeah, I hope that very soon the issues will stop and we'll have a stable environment for both channels. Okay, that's it for the community updates, but one last big update is the release of Foreman 3.8. The first release candidate is now out. And as you remember, as always, you have approximately 2 weeks to test it. There's a community post with installation and upgrade instructions, so you can test it and provide a real value to the project. Let us know if there's any bugs or issues or anything you encounter. And I would like to mention that this is a big release because we are introducing the new navigation menu design, which was discussed in the community. If you had a chance to see that discussion, so you are aware of it. But for those who not, there's a new navigation menu. We really hope you would like the design, try to make it more user-friendly, and we would appreciate your feedback regarding this one. So thanks everyone, that's all for me. We can move on to our first topic for today's demo by Girija. Auto activation key selection if there's only one. So Girija, whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much, Nufar. Good evening, everyone. So today I'll be talking about a very minor yet a very cool change that we did in the activation keys section. So I'll just go ahead and, and share my screen. I hope it's visible. All right. So I just have a screenshot of the previous version where I did not make this change. So in previously, whenever we landed on the register host page, we used to have an activation keys field where there was an error already there when we have not selected any particular activation key. So this was a bad user interface and it was confusing. So we did few changes in this particular change, and it was one of them. One of them was like, suppose if we have only one activation key, the user has only one activation key, and if you go to the register host page, you can see that the one activation key is selected automatically. So that avoids, that avoids like asking the user to go and select it themselves. And also, if we have two activation keys, let's say I go ahead and I create another key. Cool. This is done. And the host, register host. Yeah, now you see that on the landing of the page, you see that there is no error. We don't have any validation issue. We instead have a drop down where you can select. And if on interaction, after we have clicked on the drop down and after we have checked out the activation keys, that's when you get a validation error that you have not selected anything whatsoever. So this is quite a minor change, which included auto selection of activation key if there's only one, and also removal of validation or invalid errors, or like no selection, no activation key selected when user has not yet interacted with the page. So yeah, it was pretty minor change, but yeah, it was necessary. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Please do let me know if you have any questions.
Great, thanks a lot, Girija, for this update. I don't see any questions, so let's move on to our next topic. Actually, we have two topics from Ian. First one, Docker tag whiteface deprecation, and the second one is more developer-focused demo. So Ian, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Nofar. So yeah, I'll start first with the more user-focused presentation. Just a quick update. So a while back, I believe for till maybe 4.7 or maybe even earlier, we had announced the deprecation of an API parameter for repositories, the Docker tags whitelist. We changed that and kind of split it. So instead of just a whitelist that would say what tags could be included in a repository, we split it so there were two parameters, one called include tags and one called exclude tags. You can see them here on my repository screen. Just a reminder for how that works. Include tags list all the tags when you sync a container repo that will be included. And then exclude tags will subtract out tags from that list. If you don't have any include tags, all will be included, and exclude tags will only remove from the full list of tags. And by default, we exclude source-related tags because those are often not needed and they can be very heavy on disk space. Anyway, so now that we've deprecated it, as for Catella 4.10, we've completely removed that parameter. So let me just bring up a terminal really quick. So if you have an API request, here you can see I'm trying to set Docker tags whitelist to some kind of array. If you run this, you're going to get a lovely unhelpful error. This is something that should be improved. Currently, if you include a parameter that doesn't exist, it just kind of confuses the code and you get this awful error. However, if you set the correct endpoint like include tags, the return response will be information about the repository that was updated. So if your automation uses Docker tags whitelist, just make sure you switch it over to using include tags. Okay. So I'll start talking about the next presentation point. If people have any questions, I can answer them at the end. So the next point is about a change that we had that relates to the pulp core upgrade, and that also relates to N-1 smart proxy syncing. So we try to ensure that after you upgrade, you don't have to upgrade your smart proxies right away, at least from a Catello content perspective, and that you're still able to synchronize content between your smart proxy and your main Foreman Catello server. However, this is complicated sometimes because if we do a pulp core upgrade, that means we need to have a newer pulp core client on the Foreman talking to an older pulp core on the smart proxy. So this bit us especially hard for Catello 4.10 and up, since we're upgrading, jumping quite a few pulp core versions. And so we actually had to patch the client bindings, because in pulp core there was a new field that is available for repositories, or sorry, for distributions. It's a hidden distribution field. So now, if you ever browse the distributions, like in your browser, you'll not actually see the distributed content. So it's just kind of a security thing to stop people from poking around. However, the old pulp core did not support this, and it was the new bindings were trying to send over information, and it was causing syncing to fail. So in this pull request, and actually there were two pull requests, we patched from Catello, patched that out of the pulp core, the pulp bindings, not just pulp core, actually bindings for every pulp plugin that we support, where we monkey patch out this hidden field. So instead of having it set to false by default, we just set it if it gets set at all in the code. So technically it would still work. It just would stop sending false so that it'll be nil if it gets sent over to an older pulp core. And this kind of brings up a further conversation about how we want to go forward with this, because we're going to keep hitting this issue. So we're discussing with the pulp team currently if we could switch to using something that's called the pulp glue layer, which instead of using the pulp API, we would be using a pulp Python library to talk to pulp instead. And they use that for the pulp CLI, so the CLI can talk to many different versions of pulp without having problems. Within pulp glue, they mentioned that pulp glue knows about certain unique differences between pulp core versions. So we're going to be evaluating that for the future to make supporting this N-1 smart proxy syncing easier. And yeah, more on that in probably the far future. Yeah, that is it for me. Let me see if there are any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Ian.
And
yeah, there is one question. You saw it? Great.
Yeah, from Maximilian. So the question says, key sentence from Ian's PR, ensure updating include tags and exclude tags on a container repo still work. Does that mean no functionality has been removed? And yeah, indeed. So no functionality has been dropped. Actually, functionality has been added with the addition of exclude tags. The only thing you lose is that you can no longer set include tags via the old Docker tags whitelist parameter. That's the only thing. You'll just have to change that over to include tags in your automation.
Okay, thanks, Ian. I hope this answers the question. Yeah, Maximilian confirms. Great. So once again, thanks, Ian. And I have to admit, I really love hearing from a developer-focused topics. makes you think about other topics that are not on your daily routine. So thanks a lot. I don't see any more questions. Let me make sure. Yeah, everything's clear. Okay, so I just want to inform everyone that the next demo is in 3 weeks as usual in September 28th. And I want to remind you again about the release candidate. Please feel free to check that out and let us know if you encounter any issues and your feedback about it. So thanks everyone. And that's all for today, and see you next time.
Bye bye. See ya.
Thank you.